keys to the kingdom. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. We got the keys to the kingdom. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. There's joy in the kingdom. Hey, I know it is. There's peace in the kingdom. Hey, yes it is. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes we do, I know we do. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes we do, I know we do. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. No matter what you're going through, Jesus got the keys for you. You can bind things on earth, it shall be bound in heaven. You can lose things on earth, it shall be loose in heaven. We will. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you we got the keys to the kingdom. Ever you we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Keys to the kingdom. He had them for me and you. Keys to the kingdom, I know he do. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we do. Gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you we got the keys to the kingdom. Joy, peace. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you we got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Peace. Got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you got the keys to the kingdom. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord.
Welcome, everybody. Blessings, blessings, and blessings. Thank you guys for joining the Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin show. It's a new show. We're excited about it. And we're going to talk about it in a minute. But at this first time, amen. Come on. Yes, that is Pastor V singing. That is Pastor V. He created us our song for Kingdom Citizens. So yes, it is Pastor V. Let me bring in my co-host. I call her the one and only, the constitutional queen. There she go.
Hello.
Welcome and welcome.
Thank
And
you.
those of you that's coming in, just tell us what part of the state you are coming in from. We're excited to have you guys with us tonight. We are on a new assignment, a new direction. I am excited about it. So y'all come on in and we're going to tell y'all a little bit about what's going to happen. We're excited. I'm excited. We have a brand new podcast coming up. I am excited about the podcast. It's going to hit numerous of avenues from Jefferson is in the house, from Spotify to Apple to, I mean, we're going to be everywhere.
Yep.
And Also, we are part of it's called freedomnewsmedia.com. So you'll be able to go on freedomnewsmedia.com and you'll be able to get the show there. But first of all, we want to welcome everybody from YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Welcome and thank y'all for being with us on today. I have the constitutional queen and queen with me, and she's going to be having fun.
Is that why I have the crown on my side of the screen?
Huh?
Is that why I have the crown on my side of the screen?
I know, right? It's on your side of the screen. And you guys, I just want you guys to know, while we was in the back listening to hey, Rustin, to our intro coming in, y'all didn't know, but the Constitutional Queen was back there dancing. So, but we excited, you guys. So let me tell you what is this? You're probably saying, what is Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin? Well, Kingdom Citizen of Wisconsin is an organization that we're creating to coming together to keep the fire burning, to continue to empower our people with the word of God, with the Constitution, and to educate you guys on everything that's going on, from sex trafficking, domestic violence, child abuse, drug overdose, suicide. We're going to deal with the total man. I get excited when I think about it.
Yeah.
We're going to be dealing with the total man. We're going to have a segment with a doula that's going to talk to you, those that want to have their children at home. We got a doula for you. We got someone going to be talking insurance, whether it's life, home, or rental insurance. I mean, we're going to empower you guys with everything that you need. And this is the part where I'm so excited about it, because this is what Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin is all about.
Yeah. We're
going to stand in the middle. We're going to feed everybody with the word of God, those that want it. We have some amazing pastors that was part of the Wisconsin Revival Rally that's going to come on the show, and they're going to teach. We got an awesome newsletter coming out. So if you want to be part of the newsletter, all you have to do is inbox your email address, and we will get you on the email list for the newsletter. We got a newsletter coming out. So who we trying to reach? Let me see. We're starting in Wisconsin, but we don't mind reaching the whole nation. But our goal is Wisconsin, to empower the people of Wisconsin, young and old. Those people that never really paid attention to politics, or never paid attention to sex trafficking, or never paid attention to drug overdose, or CRT or whatever. We're going to empower you guys with some of everything. And this is the part I get excited about, because I just love this. This is just me. And so that's where are we going to do it from? We're going to do it from LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, Getter, and then all the avenues of the podcast that we can go to. We're going to be everywhere. We're going to be like a cancer, and we're going to spread everywhere.
Awesome.
And so I'm excited. You can tell I'm excited, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'm excited about where we're going to be, how we're going to be. And the beauty of it is, and while my body is really healing now that I slowed down, I can really reach Wisconsin and do some things. And we're still going to be doing the Wisconsin Revival rallies. We're going to still be running around the state, educating and empowering the people. Yes, knowledge is power. And so, we got Portage in. This person right here that I don't see your name, just let us know what part of the county that you are from. And so we're excited about that. And then why are we going to do this? Well, the reason we're doing this, and the reason we're going to be so unique in doing this, is because you have all of these conservative radio host and everything. You got the Vicky McKenna show. You got Meg Ellen in Warsaw. You got the regular Joe, but they're not touching real issues. They only touching issues on the scale. We're going in and we're going to deal with the real issues of life, and we're going to come up with awesome solutions of life and showing people how to get it done. I mean, when we get done, we're going to empower so many people that when they're ready to run for office, they already know it. They already know it, and so and what makes us unique is because we're going to give biblical principles to actual issues in life right now, but we're going to also educate you on everything in life. And so we got people that's going to come on the show, and they're going to give us updates on sex trafficking. They're going to let you know about it. We're going to have people on with domestic violence, a doula, insurance. The Constitutional Queen is going to have a segment where she's going to teach the Constitution. In the newsletter, she's going to break down every amendment. So we are going to, we're just going to have a glorious time with this, and we're going to do it in a way that is so unique, but at the same time so powerful. We're going to address issues all over Wisconsin. We're going to address issues in Milwaukee, Racine, Kenosha, Madison, Black River Falls, Pepin. We're going to always go up to Pepin. And then we're going to have our friend also give us information what's going on in Can I Have Fun Too? Yeah, you can have some fun too. Up in Westby, also Sheboygan, Manitowoc, all over Wisconsin. And this thing is going to catch on fire. We got pastors that's already on board. We're coming together and we're going to educate. We're going to talk life. We're going to deal with issues. It's going to be amazing. Come on, Sarah, jump in, because I've
got to jump in. I was looking for a quote that could go along with this. I'll have to find some of the founding fathers' quotes on why we preserve liberty, how we preserve liberty. But mostly, it's we can't preserve liberty unless we have a well-informed and virtuous people. And so this is a perfect opportunity, because we need to be aware as Christians. We need to be aware of what's going on in our world, in our communities, and the whole idea of compassion, we treat it nowadays as compassion is just being this kind of passive feeling that we have for others. Compassion is an action. It's, I see a need and I'm going to figure out what I can do to meet it, or find others who can meet it for the person who needs it, right? Compassion is action. All of these biblical principles that we talk about on a regular basis, we pacify them. We make them just, they're words. They don't mean anything anymore. And I'm looking forward to educating and informing, but also learning myself, just in conversation, in civil discourse with others, where we may not agree on every single nitty-gritty detail, but we're actively taking a part in our nation, in our community, in our state, in one another's lives. We're finding needs and we're learning how to serve in them. And I want to raise my children to look at needs in the community and reach out and touch other people with their hearts and their minds and their lives. And this is one way that I can inspire them, and hopefully inspire others to do so. I just finished reading the book Live Not by Lies by Rod Dreher. It's an excellent book. It talks about the whole rise of totalitarianism and what happens. And then once you're in it, how do we deal as Christians? How do we deal with, finding pockets of freedom in the middle of being enslaved? And so one of the things he says is, if they've been taught the faith at all, this was the Christians who'd been raised in this totalitarian regime and had kind of fallen away. They'd gotten so used to hearing about the Bible and hearing about Christ that it just kind of didn't mean much to them at all. He says, if they've been taught the faith at all, it has been a Christianity without tears. And that's what's happening in America, is we don't know how to be fully Christian, to take the good truth, but also to take the bad and the ugly truth. And Christianity doesn't always make us feel good. It doesn't always make us comfortable. Sometimes it makes us weep. Sometimes it convicts our hearts. Sometimes we get persecuted. Sometimes we go through struggles and trials. And in America, Christians have been taught that we're just supposed to be happy, and that's God's ultimate gift for us, is happiness. Where in the Bible does it say that? We've been taught a Christianity without tears, and I think we need to bring that Christianity back, where we weep with those who weep, we mourn with those who mourn, we rejoice with those who rejoice, and we get down in the dirt and the muck and the grime of this world, and we turn it into a garden. That's, yeah. So I'm excited too.
I'm also excited to announce that I'm also preparing to write a book. And the name of the book, the title of the book is Why It's Important to Stay in the Middle. And I was sharing it with one of my young men that I'm mentoring today. He said, "What do you mean by in the middle?" I said, "Exactly. I know you'll pick the book up and read it then."
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about writing this book, and I will be blowing you up to do some research for me, because I know you're the researcher. So
oh, yeah. You should see my desk. It's covered with books right now.
Yeah. And so my thing is, we have to empower the people in order for the people to we talk about freedom, and we talking about being freedom fighters, but the biggest problem I found in the last 2 years, especially with people who say they freedom fighters, they don't understand. They receive, the Bible says wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom.
Yeah.
But with all that getting, get an understanding.
Yep.
And so we don't have understanding. We don't comprehend. We hear the Constitution. We know what it means, and we run out and we try to do it. And then next thing you know, we never had the understanding of what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it. I mean, and that's what happens in almost every movement, because then all of a sudden you're talking to them, and then you say something like, "Okay, what do y'all want?" And then all of a sudden, we don't know. We just marching. We don't know. We just protesting.
That's that mob mentality. It's just everybody's along for the ride, but most of the people don't even realize what's going on or why they're there. They're just there to get some of the 15 minutes of fame, or they're there to join a movement so they can feel good about what they're doing. But what happens when those feelings go away? So there's nothing left over if you don't have an understanding of what movement you are a part of.
Exactly. And the thing about it is, we're coming to a time where we have to empower. We have to get people to understand what's really, really going on. And understanding what's really going on is that ignorance is where we at right now, right? You got so much ignorance going on right now. You got people, they hate Trump, but they don't know why they hate Trump.
Yep. I was reading, I can't remember, it was a conservative blog post, conservative website. I'll have to go find it again. But anyway, he was going on and on about how, he'd jump into a story about what was going, current event in the world. He would jump into the story and he would already have his mind made up about what that story was about. And he even admitted to this. He's like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, this time I actually took time and waited until some more of the story came out." We are so hurried. We don't sit and we don't take time to read and to understand and to know what's going on before we have an opinion about it, right? Like, it's the whole, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And I'm talking to myself here, because it's so easy to do the opposite way. I'm not a good listener, and I'm working on, I'm learning how to be one. But that's what we need to be as Christians, as citizens of this nation. We can't we've got to go against the flow and not just jump in every story we see. Oh, we got an opinion on it already. I already know what's happened. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care what the facts say. I already know what happened. That's not going to get us anywhere, and it's not going to teach us. It's not going to inform us, and our hearts are going to be hardened to learning and to understanding and to knowing. And
that's like what happened to innocent until proven guilty,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, I had an awesome conversation with my 11-year-old the other day. It was so cool. We were talking about that. And you know, when you see a cop at the side of the street, right, and they pulled somebody over, what's your first thought? What's your first thought every time you see those lights flashing?
They speeding.
They're speeding. They broke the law, right? Well, how many of those people are pulled over on the side of the road because their tire blew, or because they had a heart attack, or because, you know, and they wanted to get off the road, or whatever it is? We automatically go to, you're guilty. You've committed a crime, and so that's why you're pulled over. And yeah, in many cases that's probably true. But that instant jump to that conclusion, we are living in a society that does that. We do assume guilt right away, and we don't listen to the larger picture of what took place. So we already have it in our head. This is what it is. And yeah, that's exactly. And he looked at me and he's like, because he said the same thing, you know, that, oh, they probably got a speeding ticket. And I was like, and then he goes, but maybe they didn't. So even my 11-year-old son is getting it. It was so exciting. We had a back and forth about it.
And you know, that's the way they programmed us, right?
Yep.
Even during the campaign, you know, somebody said, you owe back child support. I said, do you understand the family court system? No, yeah. But you're judging, but you don't understand the system, right?
Yeah.
And they was like, well, yeah. And then the lady said, well, talk to my brother, because he's going through the family court system.
Mm-hmm.
The family court system is not a nice thing, right?
No.
And so when they was like, oh, really? Oh, wow, we didn't know that. No, because you're so quick that somebody said he owes something, but you don't check to see, was he in his kid's life? Was he taking care of them? You know, is they in his house? Because sometimes the system mess up where they in your home and they still want to charge you. So, you know, people don't know the story, so they quick to jump to conclusion.
Exactly.
We see it all the time in Milwaukee, where a young man that gets shot, and the first thing they say is drug deal went bad.
Yep. Or they'll say the cops murdered somebody.
Right. And
like,
you see
really?
They're like, wait a minute, it's not even that, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, in empowering, we can't. You know, I tell people all the time, do your homework. When people ask me a question about the Bible, you know what I tell them? That's your homework. Now come back to me with the answer.
Yep. We've got to have more of that Socratic mindset. You know, I mean, obviously Socrates was a secular individual, but he had a good point of view in how he taught. He asked questions. He didn't just tell you the information, say, this is true. In fact, he said over and over again, I'm the older I get, the more I realize how very little I know, right? And so instead, and the best way to learn for him was to ask people questions, get them thinking and get them dialoguing with him. And I don't know if he ever answered a question. He always answered a question with another question. And that's something, you know, that's something that really helps us to explore the world that God has put us in, and explore the nature of man, and explore all these things. We don't ask enough questions. We think we have all the answers.
And you know, the most funny part about that is this: when you look at people, right, and they just go off this little bitty so-called knowledge that they have, very little knowledge.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you say, okay, that ain't how the system works.
Yeah.
But you get mad because that ain't how it works. You upset that the system is not working the way you want it to work.
Yeah.
It's like having a car and you need to put the key in the ignition to get it started, but you so used to just pushing a button.
Yeah.
So now you're sitting there trying to figure out, okay, why this car ain't starting? Hello, take the key, put the key in the ignition, and turn the key.
Yeah.
You know, And so, I mean, we just get to the point where we're missing knowledge. We're missing, we're missing knowledge. We're
Yeah.
missing because what do I mean by knowledge? Okay, knowledge is information.
Mm-hmm.
So we missing information,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Then we missing understanding. Understanding means I get it, I
Yeah.
comprehend it. And then we missing wisdom because wisdom is application.
Yep.
So
Yep.
now I got it, I'm gonna go do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we're not there. And so, this is one of the things.
Yeah, and along those lines, if we're talking current events, we're talking constitutional stuff. It's amazing to me. I have not heard one conservative pundit or one conservative, except maybe Ron Paul, possibly, or Rand Paul, talk about the actual issue of the FBI raiding Trump's home. It's
Yeah.
they talk about, oh, it was it was a breach of the Fourth Amendment, it was, so on and so forth, and the FBI is being used as a weapon against the citizens when it was supposed to be a defense for its citizens. Nobody is talking about the fact that the FBI itself is unconstitutional. They're all talking about how they did an unconstitutional act, but they're not talking about the FBI being unconstitutional just being established.
Right.
And so it's just so funny to me because we're missing certain angles of it, and they're talking about, the unconstitutionality of it, but they're missing the main point, and that is that the FBI itself is unconstitutional. So you get some people on the conservative side who are like, well, we've got to understand that this is, Trump isn't or no president or leader is immune from the law, right? And so they're going on about how, well, he should have expected it or whatever. And then you have other conservatives who go into that fourth constitution thing, but not one of them have talked about the actual meaning of the Constitution in this whole situation. And it's just it makes me cry a little bit because it's just like this, we're dealing with the symptoms, we're dealing with the surface issues, we're not getting to the heart of the matter. One, we're a nation without God, and two, we don't even follow our Constitution anymore, and we don't even understand what it has to say. So yeah.
Right. And then you look at it. I saw something today. Was it today? Or yesterday, where the Biden administration is attacking the Southern Baptists.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, what?
Oh,
So I look at it like, if we doesn't stand out, then everything that we was given, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we was given, right? All the freedom, everything God gave us is going to be not only under attack, but it's going to be it's just going to be snatched away.
Yep.
Some of it we're giving it away.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Stacey, you asked, how do we get rid of the FBI? We get rid of them by making them redundant. We get rid of them by by our sheriffs not allowing them to come into our towns and our counties, and not allowing them to enter people's homes and businesses. Our sheriffs are going to be our first line of defense, and they have to understand the Constitution in order to do that. Because it's so, you think about it, the fourth branch of government is so entrenched right now. We're not going to fix it from the top down. Even if we get a good constitutional president in, they're not going to be able to attack that beast from there. We've got to get into our local communities, and we need to build up a constitutional community that understands your rights are being violated, understands what your rights are first, and then understands that the government has no business touching any of them. They don't have a right to do that. They don't have a right to walk into a president's home, even with a warrant, because the warrant was completely unreasonable. It says reasonable searches and seizures. Well, you got to actually prove that in a court of law. They didn't do that. They just, here's our excuse. This is what we're looking for. And there was no evidence, nothing to back it up. So yeah, so getting rid of the FBI, we have to start in our local communities, and we have to get our constitutional sheriffs to fight back and defend us.
Oh
Because
yeah,
a sheriff is constitutional.
that is right. And that's why I can't wait until that episode next week when you start teaching the Constitution. You guys and everybody that really want to learn the real way of the Constitution, not just somebody say they Constitution and don't know nothing but the First and Second Amendment. You know,
Yeah. Yep. Exactly, Scott.
yeah. So I mean, so these are the things that we have to we're gonna have to really dig into so
Mhm.
people are really understand their rights.
Yep.
And so, so when we look at it, uh, oh, that's somebody helping me with the writing with the book. So,
Awesome.
um, so in the process of this, people need to understand one of the reasons why I want sex trafficking on here and we talk
Mhm.
about it is because we need to know how to do the signals, the hand signals, right? So that
Yep.
way we can help other people uh, with the hand signals and so we'll know what to look for. I
Yep.
mean, we have to be totally ready to help our fellow man, our
Yeah.
fellow neighbor. And so that's going to be exciting. That's going to be powerful.
Mhm.
Same thing with domestic violence. We need to know, right?
Yep.
Same thing with suicide. There's so many people suicide right now, and
Mhm.
or have mental illness, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's another funny thing. I had the DHHS, our Department of Health and Human Services committee meeting just recently, and they were going on and on about how there was just this increase in suicides and like the ages where it was like the youngest one who called the suicide hotline was 5 years old. I mean, how sad is that, right? And they said the ages and everything, all of this was increasing, and then they followed it up with, "We have no idea why." And it's like 2 years, 2 years, you've had plenty of time to figure out why more and more children are struggling with depression and mental health issues and all of these things. I mean, look what we did to them for 2 years. Not only that, but we are a nation without God. We don't give them purpose and meaning. We tell them they're meaningless balls of meat floating around in the cosmos and, oh, good luck, have a good life. That's what do we expect? I was like, I could think of 5 things right off the top of my head that was causing this phenomena. Apparently it was something surprising to people who work in healthcare. But that's literally what we're talking about here is we need awareness, we need knowledge so that we can gain wisdom and understanding, because if we don't learn how to use the knowledge we have to analyze and understand and to gain wisdom, then how do we expect to fix the problem? How do we expect to provide solutions? We just keep throwing more money at it. Let's throw more money at it, that'll fix it. Well, how's that working out for us? We're trillions of dollars in debt as a nation, and we're worse than we've ever been.
I know. And the thing about it is, you got people that says, you know what? We just need more money. You know what?
Yep.
We just need more money. And the sad part about it is both sides want power, but they don't want no solutions. They don't
Yep.
want to fix anything.
Yep.
And so when we constantly see what's going on and we constantly see the pain, right? And you
Yep.
constantly see a mother who's gonna for the rest of her life wondering why,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
why my child or why my husband or why my cousin or why my friend didn't
Yep.
talk to me, and so we have to uh, start to rebuild the walls of all the social issues in our
Yeah.
community and in our state because of the fact
Yeah.
of this, right?
Right.
You have so many people ODing off of drugs and so so you got all of this stuff going on and now you're worrying about uh Now you're worrying about everybody. And here's the thing about it. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people don't care. And so
Mm-hmm.
so when we talking about, even when we're talking about the Constitution, right?
Yep.
And we're talking about uh, our rights and everything.
Yep.
Um, one of the funniest things I saw was Mayor Johnson in Milwaukee was talking about punishing children and parents when it comes to curfew. And the reason I think that is so funny and so dumb at the same time, you already got the parents' hands tied that they can't get their kids to make sure they in the house before curfew. So
Yeah.
now you're punishing them for not getting their kids, but you're also going to punish them if they do go get their kids.
Yeah. Well, but not only that, where in the Constitution does it allow for a curfew? We have the right of assembly. We have the right of free association. So if we want to associate or assemble at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, I mean, I don't know why anybody would, but if they do, that's their right. They don't have to be locked in their homes.
Right. And
So, I mean, what is the city doing? Why are they setting curfews? I'm assuming for the crime. Is it for the crime?
for
For
the
the crime
crime,
stuff?
because
Instead of having watchdogs in the neighborhood monitoring the neighborhood, they're just locking the innocent in their homes.
yes,
How backwards is that? And it's not like the criminals are going to go, oh, there's the curfew, I'm going to go home and who was it? Oh gosh, who was it that was just talking? It was one in Biden's administration, or maybe it was Beto O'Rourke or something. They were talking about how um oh no, it was one of the poll workers at our poll site in our county clerk's office. He was talking about um how criminals they don't break the law. He was talking in because he was talking about the gun issue, right? And how gun laws don't affect um or don't affect our constitutional rights. Gun laws don't affect our constitutional rights, and that criminals don't break the law. And I'm thinking, well, then they wouldn't be criminals now, would they? It was just so confusing to me to hear him speak like
well,
that.
you know, when we listen to them and we listen to them open their mouth, and you be wondering like, I thought you
Yeah.
were smart until you opened your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I see
Yeah.
Mr. Jacob is watching. All
Nice.
right, sir. But
I like how you put that. That was pretty good.
huh?
Where he said if our economy is burning to the ground, then dumping more money on it will only make the fire bigger. Yeah, because paper money burns.
Oh yes, most
Oh
definitely.
yeah.
You know, and so when we look at it, right?
Yep.
And then you have you have uh you have you have so much going on.
Yeah.
And Scott, that's why I never shut my church down, because it ain't happening, not on my watch.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, when we look at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have all these people that say they're fighters, but you know they're only fighting for one thing. They're not fighting for the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're fighting for a slice of a pie,
Yeah.
but they're not fighting for the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Not only that, but they're fighting on the wrong foundation. They, like, when we talk about the Christianity being soft, a Christianity without tears, where's their foundation?
Right.
It's all about how happy they are and how fulfilled they are in this world and the material things of this world. So they're fighting from the wrong foundation. They don't have compassion. They feel compassion. They don't have love. They feel love. They don't, none of the action behind the words.
Right, exactly. And
Mhm.
then when you look at it though, I'm looking, and I'm still on Facebook, and I'm looking at stuff, and I'm sitting there like, wow, these people, some of them are still in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
They stuck, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, no, you guys, let's get the knowledge,
Yep.
and let's move forward. You
Yep.
know, you can't stand still because anything that stands still, it dies.
Exactly.
You know, so we
It's
can't stand
stagnant.
still. We got to continue to move forward, but we got to figure out a way how to move forward now.
Yep.
And the only way to move forward is to empower the people. The more people empowered, the stronger you become. The less people empowered, the weaker you become.
Yep.
So, you know, so as it going forward, you know, and everything, you know, because you got some that say, okay, the fight is over, the primary is over, my people didn't win, I'm going home, or you
Yep.
know, somebody just holding on. No, if you was in it only for that reason, then I'm wondering why was you really in it?
Yep.
You know, but this is a battle where it's not over until it's over. As
It's
they
not
say,
over until freedom reigns. It's not over until God is king once again, right?
right?
Yeah.
It cannot. You know you the problem we having is, you know, I look and I watch and
Yeah.
I see people talking about, well, we're gonna do it this way. Okay, go right ahead. Let's see how far that goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you wanna try to start a civil war. Go right ahead. Let's see how far that goes.
Yep.
But remember, if you start it, you're gonna be the first target. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if you
Who's gonna honestly, to me, it's kind of scary when you talk about going straight to the gun thing, right? Like we have guns, and I'm fully on board with our Second Amendment rights, right? But they're there so we don't have to use them in a sense, because we should be knowledgeable enough about the Constitution, about our rights and liberties as human beings, about our uh god-given image, right? All of these things, we should be knowledgeable about those things, and we should not be instantly going to violence in order to solve the problem. That usually creates more problems. Yeah, I might fix a problem, but then it creates more problems. Think about the Civil War. After the Civil War, when Lincoln was shot, they came down so hard on the South. He had an idea of gently basically bringing the South back into the fold and trying restoration, bringing unity back to America. He didn't want war, but he spent his whole presidency fighting this battle because he knew that it was a just cause. But afterwards, he had a plan to gently bring the South back. Well, the people who succeeded him, what did they do? They came down so hard on the South. They used force and violence in order to push these things. It caused lifelong animosity, and still to this day we're seeing some of that grudge that's being held. So it's a little bit scary when people are instantly, oh, we didn't win, so we need to fight on the battlefield. We need to shed some blood. Really? Because if you're the first person who pulls that trigger, you're going to be held accountable for that, and you better have a good reason for why.
and the thing about it, you know, when we look at it from a non-biblical standpoint, it is um how should I say, the blind leading the blind.
Mhm.
It's the blind leading the blind. It's the blind uh, having no real direction, no real guidance, no real understanding.
Yep.
Because even the Bible tells us to sit down, right? It says
Yeah.
sit down, count the costs,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
You got to count the cost. You got to
Yeah.
know exactly what the cost is going to be and how you're
Yep.
going to handle it.
Yep. Exactly.
Oh, he's writing in from YouTube. Okay.
Yeah. What union can darkness have with light? Hmm.
Wow. So
Yeah, we
all
call
that, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we in that book I just finished, Live Not by Lies, he talks about that, how the Christians who were forming little cell groups to not passive but quiet resistance against these totalitarian regimes, they welcomed people in, and they had to be wise as serpents and gentle as doves, because they didn't want to mistrust everybody, even knowing that their next door neighbor, even other Christians, could turn them in to the regime. They trusted enough to welcome and open their homes to the people who wanted to fight. Maybe they didn't have the same Christian belief system or whatever, but they opened their homes to these people, gave them comfort and knowledge on how to deal with interrogations and how to deal with, when they were imprisoned and all of these things. And not everybody in these resistances were Christian, but they found commonality in their goal to fight against, because they understood the sanctity of human life. And I think that's where we really need to, any of our conversation should come back to that. What is the sanctity of human life? What does that mean? Why is human life so sacred? And every decision that we make should be based on that fundamental principle. We were created in the image of God. So what does that mean for us? It means finding allies in groups of people who may not have the same Christian beliefs as us. It means understanding that we cannot build walls around our hearts and our homes and keep the world out. We have to welcome the world in, even if we know that some people will betray us, right? There's just a lot of elements to it. And yeah, we're not in a totalitarian state yet. But if there's not a freedom shift soon, then yeah, we may very well see in our lifetime, see our nation taken over by tyrants. So yeah,
Yep,
we were
yep.
created to be free.
But one of the things is, just it's not even quote unquote being a Christian. It's about the principles of God, because there are so many successful business owners who are
Mhm.
not believers, but
Yep.
they understood the principles of God,
Yep.
and they live by those principles,
Yep.
and they became very successful off the principle.
Mhm.
And a lot of times I say, you got people who don't know God but know his principles,
Yep.
and then you got those who know God but don't know his principles.
Yeah, exactly.
And and,
Exactly.
and so we're not saying to people we're gonna beat you with the Bible. We're just gonna bring forth the principles of God,
Right.
loving our neighbors, helping the fatherless, helping
Yep.
the widows, right?
Yep.
Jesus said the poor would be with us always. So he didn't tell us to be poor, but he told us to make sure we take care of the poor, because
Yeah.
he said, when you do it to the least, you do it to me. So when we begin to look at this thing, every situation we're dealing with in life can work itself out with the principles of God.
Mhm.
It's just that simple. If we
Yep.
just go by the principles of God, and
Yep.
not just give a hand out, but give a hand up.
Yep.
Be that good Samaritan when you see somebody depressed or see somebody
Yeah.
suicidal, or don't be the one across the street. Be the one that goes to them and
Yeah.
show them love and help them out.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we're talking about.
Yep.
Biblical principles, and govern the people according to the biblical principles, where
Mhm.
you're not oppressing them, and there's not a lot of injustice there, right? But
Yep.
but the thing about it is, we have to educate the people on the principles of God.
Yep.
And if you look at the principles of God, you'll see it in the Constitution.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so the thing about it is, if I govern myself with the principle of God, then I can govern the Constitution.
Yep.
And it's so
Exactly.
simple, though.
Yeah. Hmm.
Now, Norman Vance.
Norman Vincent Peale.
I never heard of him. Who is he?
Doing a quick search.
Okay.
See, American Protestant clergyman, best known for popularizing the concept of positive thinking. He wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking.
Oh, power of positive thinking. Okay.
Had a personal friendship with Richard Nixon. Despite arguing at times against involvement of clergy in politics, he nevertheless had some controversial affiliations with politically active organizations in the late 1930s. Engaged with national political candidates and their campaigns, having influence on some. So,
Okay.
I'm
Now,
gonna have to look in. I'm gonna have to look into him a little bit more.
yeah. Now, one of my mentors says, "There's nothing wrong with positive thinking, right? The
Yeah,
problem is if you just sitting around with positive thinking and there's a hole in the boat, you're gonna sink.
yeah. I'm positive you're gonna drown.
You know, and
Yeah,
we have to that's why the Bible says, "So as a man thinketh, so is he."
yeah.
So if you think that is hopeless, then it's hopeless for
Mhm.
you, not for me, but for you. If
Yeah.
if you let me do it this way. The Bible says God made rich men and God made poor men, but they
Mhm.
had one thing in common, and the thing that they had in common was sight.
Mm.
Okay, so the problem was how they saw things, right?
Yeah.
And so when we look at things, we have to say, okay, how do you see them?
Mhm.
Those are the conversations we got to say. Because we might trying to say the same thing, but you just seeing it from a different aspect. When
Right.
people say,
Right.
"Oh, the world is bad," it all depends on how you see it.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of beauty in this world as well. There's a lot of good things in this world as well.
Yeah, but not only that though. You know what else? Why they say, "Oh, it's bad," I look at it like, "Oh, no, 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 no. It's opportunity."
Mhm.
So it,
Yeah.
it all depends. Uh, okay. Well, thank you. But when we really look at it, right? We can have positive thinking. You got a lot of people that have what they consider positive thinking. You got
Mhm.
people positive thinking the Democrats doing a great job.
Yep. Yep.
You got positive thinking the Republicans doing a great job.
Yeah.
But yet the people are suffering. So
Yeah.
what great job are you seeing it from?
Exactly.
I'm looking like, oh wow, okay, well, um, to me, I see the three P's: piss poor performance.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
for
but
sure. So I mean, if we're grading on how great of a job they're doing at sucking, then yeah, they're doing a great job.
so and you're right, Stacey. You got to say what you want to see.
Mhm.
But
Even more than that, though, you've got to live out what you want to see in others.
right, you
Because
got
we
to
can talk the talk all we want, but if we're not walking it, then it's not going to get us anywhere.
right, and you have people say, well, I ain't got no friends. Well, the Bible says in order to have a friend, you must show yourself friendly first.
Yep.
So how do people see you?
Yeah.
How do you how what your face look like when people want to walk up and say hi to you? Do it look like you sucking on a lemon? You know?
Yeah. Are you frowning and angry at the world for everything and looking to pick a fight? I mean, because that's I think that goes back to our victim culture that we've got going on right now. We everything must be everybody else's fault. We don't take responsibility for our own choices and what we portray to the world. I lived for a long time with a hot temper, and it wasn't until I recognized that this was yeah, okay, it might have been a product of my upbringing. I lived in a hot-tempered household, but what am I going to do to change me? I can't change what I was raised in, but I can change me. And so what does that look like? And I can allow God to transform me and work in me. I can be confident in my identity in him, and he he does the work in my life, but I have to be willing to allow that. I've got to be willing to do the hard stuff,
Right.
to acknowledge where I'm going wrong. So yeah.
So what you're saying is you're not a product of your environment, you're a product of your choices.
Yep.
Whoa.
Exactly.
So now we can't use our environment anymore.
No, because do we we understand that environment does create either conflicts or obstacles in our lives. It does sometimes it creates advantages, right? If somebody grows up in a wealthy home, they have money, they can do whatever they want and all that stuff. But what do we do with those things? What do we do with our advantages or disadvantages? I still to this day am so in awe of Dr. Ben Carson. I don't always agree with him on everything, but his mom was illiterate and made him and his brother read books and give her book reports that she couldn't read, but she would grade them and then have him go do it again, and he grew up in the poorest of circumstances. But what did his mom do? She's like a single mother and she's working full time and trying to take care of her family, and she knew she was going to give her sons a better opportunity than she had. But look at what she made of her opportunity. And then later on she went and got her own degree and went back to college and did all of this stuff because she knew her circumstances did not define her. It was what she chose to do with those circumstances, and think of how much greater she can appreciate what she has because of what she did, what she worked to get, how hard she worked to get where she's at. There's on both sides, privilege and disadvantage have pros and cons, but what are we going to do with either of those things? What
Right.
do we choose?
And when you say it like that, what comes to my mind is both sides can be dangerous to an individual. And what I mean by that is you can be privileged
Mm-hmm.
and never take anything serious and lose everything, and you might commit suicide.
Yep.
Or you can be underprivileged, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden, and we've seen it, people hit the lottery.
Yeah.
And they get all this money, and what happens? They blow it because they never had anything.
Yep.
And they back in poverty.
Yep.
So I think, that's one of the reasons why I love my mom, because she always said to us, everything you want is in the house. You got a bed, you got food, you got clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you want, go get it.
Yep.
So we had to earn it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's see, what is this? What most people miss is believing. It's not the same as knowing.
Yeah.
Most believe in God.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We can take that even one step different. There's a difference in believing and having faith.
Yeah.
Because I can believe God all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I can say, I believe God for dinner. Right?
Yeah.
I ain't no food in my house. I'm believing God for dinner. Yeah. But then I'm calling you and say, hey, Sarah, you want to bring me something to eat?
Yeah.
That's not faith in God.
No.
Right? But if I say, I'm believing God for dinner, and I go in the kitchen and I put a pot of hot water on the stove, start seasoning the water, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the doorbell ring and somebody there with chicken because I didn't call them.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Well, I keep thinking, that's another term we almost have to redefine, or not redefine, but go back to the definition of it, because in the church atmosphere that I grew up in, faith was completely blind. It was based on Jesus Jesus is God and you just have to believe it and you can't argue against it. You can't have doubts and questions. Well, faith isn't blind. Faith is an understanding and a belief of the promises of God being kept over and over and over and over in our lives, and seeing it in action, and trusting that in the future that's still going to be the case, right? That's what faith is. It's an active thing. It's not a passive blind
Well, I don't know
thing.
why people use that phrase blind faith, because
Yeah.
faith is not blind.
No.
You can there was a daughter. Her daddy was in the living room reading the newspaper.
Mhm.
And she said to her daddy, she said, "Daddy, would you build me a dollhouse in the yard?"
Mhm.
And the daddy said to the daughter, "Sure, baby. As soon as I get through reading my newspaper,
Mhm.
I will build you the dollhouse."
Yeah.
So the daddy's sitting there reading the newspaper, and the little girl going up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs. And he was wondering why she going up and down the stairs. So he called his
Mhm.
wife. He said, "Baby, why is she going up and down the stairs?" She said, "Oh, you told her you was going to build her a dollhouse, so she took all her dolls and taking them outside."
Ha!
That's faith,
Yeah.
because the biggest evidence of your faith is preparation.
Yep.
So
Yep.
her preparation for that dollhouse
Yeah.
show how much faith she had in her father.
Yeah, it's like a farmer saying, "I have faith that God's going to grow my crops," but he never puts his seed in the ground. Well, what crops then, right?
Exactly.
He prepares the ground, he tills it and moves the soil and gets it rich and loamy, and then he puts the seeds in and he waters it and then he waits, and yes, God causes it to grow. But if he never planted those seeds, if he never prepared the soil, what's he going to get? He's going to get soil.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
And so, and so when people say, and faith is also, you got to understand, when you have faith in God, you got to have already see it. It's like an artist that goes to draw a picture, right? He
Mhm.
already know what the picture looked like before he even
Yep.
put the pencil to the paper. He already knows.
Yep.
So that's how our faith is. We can see what we're asking for. We
Yes.
already know it's on its way. So now
Yeah.
we're just making preparation to receive it.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so, so when we look at it and we say, well, I know. See, and then you got those people that know God, and then you got those people that know of God.
Yeah.
Because I know of you, but Jacob know you.
Yep. Yep.
See, you know of Rosie,
Yep.
but I know Rosie. Why?
Yep.
Because I've been intimate with Rosie. You never been intimate with Rosie.
Nope.
Jacob been intimate with you. I never been intimate with you. So we don't really know. We know of you.
Yep.
Jacob know your voice. He know when you sad through your voice. He know when you want to see him through your voice.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He-
Exactly.
Because he know, and that's how it is with God.
Mhm.
When we know God, not know of God, but when we know God,
Yeah.
then we know his voice. We know what he likes. We know what he don't like. So we
Yeah.
can't do the things that he doesn't like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
This-
Exactly.
This is why I ran the campaign in integrity and in character, because I know God doesn't like anything else.
Yep. Exactly.
And when
Exactly.
people gave me information about somebody that I was going to drop that bomb, the Holy Spirit said, "You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't drop that bomb. What you thinking?" You know.
Mhm.
But the beauty of it is, I still had a choice, even though when he told me it was wrong.
Mhm.
And so I decided not to drop that bomb. I'm like, nope, we're not going to do that. What we're
Yep.
going to do is we're going to walk in integrity, and people was coming to me and saying, so-and-so don't like you. I said, that's their business. I'm not getting in their business.
I don't have any control over what other people think of me.
Right. I tell people all the time, I say, I don't care what you think. Only thing I know, I'm 6'4" and sexy. That's all I know. What you think don't even, I tell them all the time, what you think don't even matters.
Yeah.
It's what I think about me that matters.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Stacy posted something. I do want to talk on that.
Which
She
one?
says that then there were weeds God's provision because he knows yes, and that, Stacy, is grace. That is God's ultimate grace. Even when we are faithless, he is faithful. And that's something that is true. There are times when we don't plant and water that garden and he still produces something in us. And so yeah, it's it just means we have it a little bit harder, and it doesn't taste quite as good as when we actually have our garden, right?
Right, but also, Tracy, remember now, the prodigal son ate what the pigs ate.
Yep.
Until what? Until he came to himself. Exactly. Until he realized, I didn't do it God's way. They're the principles again.
Exactly.
Because God can't go against his word.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I come to myself and realize I've been doing it my way, now I need to do it God's way.
Yep.
Then I'm gonna go back and do it God's way.
Yep. And it's exactly what I tell my daughter, who, she talks about how much she struggles with understanding what her purpose is, or understanding. I tell all of my kids this, but it's been an ongoing conversation between me and her because she's been struggling. She's going through that phase where, just everything's up in the air. She wants to know what she's meant for and everything. And I said, well, you can't know what you're meant for until you know what God's purpose is and who he is. You have to know who he is first. And then, because he promised you were made in his image, then you can know and understand what his purpose is for your life because you know him. And yeah, yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah. And the thing about it is, most of us, the biggest problem we have is not coming in agreement with God.
Yep.
That's our biggest problem. We have not yet came in agreement with God. And the thing about it is, when we look at everything, right? Yep. And we say, okay, how can we fix Wisconsin? Before we even go to the world, how can we fix Wisconsin, right? Mm-hmm. I can't fix Wisconsin if I'm not fixed.
Yep.
Right? So yep. I got to be fixed first. Yep. Then I can go help fix others.
Isn't that the whole foundation of self-governance? If we're not self-governing ourselves, then how do we ever have any hope of governing anything else?
Right. And it's like being on that airplane. Remember when the airplane come down? It says if the airbags come down, what are you supposed to do? Put it on yourself first.
Yep.
Then help someone else. So we have to do self-evaluations and do inventory on ourselves.
Yeah.
Let me see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that goes to the whole Corinthians passage that talks about love, right? Love, if we can do all of these things, we can take all of this action, but if we don't love, if we don't have the heart of that action, we don't understand why we do what we do, if we don't understand Christ in us, then it's clanging cymbals, it's banging gates, it's not anything, it's not love, it's something other than that.
Right. And not only that, when we look at it, the heart, right? Mm-hmm. The Bible says you'll know the person by the fruit they bear.
Yep.
Right. So and then the Bible says out of the mouth flows the issues of the heart.
Yep.
So if there's no word of God in the heart because we didn't put it there, don't expect it to come out.
Exactly.
It can't come out. And all of us need a heart circumcision. All of our hearts need to be circumcised to the fact that we'll be sensitive to the things of God. And just like Scott is saying right here, we need to watch our pride in ourselves.
Yep. If we boast in the Lord, not in ourselves.
Right.
Yep.
And that means we are out of alignment with God. It's like your car. You hit too many potholes in your car, you lose the alignment. Right?
Exactly.
So you got to get it adjust. So with our pride and our haughtiness and our jealousy, that those are bumps in the road that takes us out of alignment with God. And our self-gratification, right? And
Yep.
self-gratification doesn't mean it's sex. Having
Nope.
money can be self-gratification.
Yeah,
Being
things that we do to please ourselves alone. Yeah.
Exactly. So we have to fix ourselves first, then we can go help others. And
Yep.
we need to help those that can't help themselves. And when we come, they'll know that they can be honest with us without us judging them. Because the biggest problem with most people that's committing suicide, they want to tell somebody, but they don't want to be judged. You know,
Exactly.
they're afraid that if I tell somebody, they're going to judge me. If I
Yeah.
tell you what I'm struggling with, you're going to judge me.
Yeah.
No, I'm there to help you. I'm not there to judge you. I'm there to
Yeah.
help. And so, you know, these are the things where we have to allow our light to shine, that people feel comfortable sharing things with us. And one of the things that me and my wife, we let people know is this: if I'm ministering to somebody, there's some things that I can't say to my wife because it's between me and that person and God. When
Yeah.
she's ministering to somebody, there's things she can't say to me. She got to keep to herself because it's between her, that person, and God. And
Mhm.
people got to feel comfortable knowing that it's not going to go nowhere,
Yeah.
and knowing that you're not going to look at them funny.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and those are the things that we're dealing with right now. And you got politicians that are looking for somebody they can talk to.
Yep.
You know, you got doctors, you got lawyers, you got people struggling with pornography, and they want to talk to somebody, but they don't want to be judged.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a lot that's going on, and we got to just be willing to listen and help. I tell people, I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm only going to tell you what the Word of God says, and I am not coming to your party. I'm not bringing a cake to the pity party. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, and we're going to move from there. But I do you no justice coming to the pity party bringing a cake.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm going to be understanding and loving all day long.
Yep.
And you know, I got a bad habit. And that bad habit, if I tell you to do something and you don't go do it, and then you come back to me and I say, well, Sarah, didn't you do that? No, I didn't do that. But no buts.
Yeah, no buts.
It's a done deal. That's telling me that you want to stay in that condition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that really is the first I guess obstacle we come up against when we're sharing and trying to educate others is they have to want it, you know, they have to ask for it. If we just go guns blazing and start saying, well, this is the way it is and this is how you need to believe and this is, you know, what are we doing? We're alienating people. We need to go in and build relationship, build rapport with others, and welcome them into our homes, share a meal with them, and not just go guns blazing and trying to convince them of something that they have no stake in. They need to actually understand why. Like when we're sharing Christ, they need to understand why Christ is the ultimate answer, right? If they have no frame of reference, or if they've been jaded by the church because the church has condemned them and turned them away, then they're going to look at Christ and go, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that, right? Because they're going to have seen Christ represented wrongly, and they're going to paint that broad brush. Well, how do we show them? We show them by our actions. We show them from a heart of love. We love you sincerely. We want the best for you, and so we're just going to love on you. We're going to be there. We will, like the friends with Job, when they sat with him in his silence and struggles and his suffering, they sat with him first, right? When they opened their mouths, then you were like, you just wanted to slap them all because they're like trying to answer all the questions that only God had answers to. But when they sat in silence with him, and just that brought comfort, right? Sometimes we don't need words. Sometimes we need, you know, a cup of tea. Have somebody over for a cup of tea and just sit and listen.
Right.
And again, I'm preaching to myself too.
No, because you know, you're absolutely right. One of the guitar players that played in that band for me, he ended up passing, and his funeral was on the day of the election.
Oh, wow.
And I went to the funeral, and his wife looks up and saw me. She said, oh my God, you here? I'm like, yes. You guys mean more to me than the election. I gotta come here. I gotta come show my love. I gotta be here for you guys. Forget the election. This is more important right now. And she was like, I didn't get a chance to go vote. Don't even think about voting.
No worries.
No,
Yeah,
we are here for you. We are
yeah,
here to let you know that we are here for you,
yeah,
And this is what the love of God is all about. When you
yes,
think, you don't think of yourself, but you think of others. And
exactly.
so this is one of the reasons why we need to be there for our children.
Mm-hmm.
With all this crap going on in the school, they confused.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta help them seek the face of God for their purpose, so they won't be confused.
Yeah.
We gotta be there for families that's struggling. See,
Yep.
the problem in order to heal Wisconsin, we got to get dirty. We got to roll up our sleeves and we got to
Mm-hmm.
get in there and go. And all we got to do is help one, and that person to go help somebody else. But
Yeah.
but but we got to we got to be willing not to just talk about it, but to be about it. And we got
Right.
to be, and we have to be in that place where people will know when I tell people there's two types of people. There's people that happy to see you come, or you got people that happy to see you leave.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's
so
funny.
so which one are you? Are you the
Yeah.
one they happy to see come, or are you that one they happy to see leave?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because if they happy to see you come, they really don't want you to leave.
Yeah.
But if they happy to see you leave, oh yeah, that means it was, oh my God, about time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so and this is some of the things that we're going to be addressing. This is some of the
Mm-hmm.
things that we're going to be talking about. This is some of the things that I believe that is going to be a blessing to the state of Wisconsin
Yeah.
as we empower people, we educate people, we help people.
Yeah.
Um, this is my focus right now, is to empower the people. It's so many that is not empowered. So many did not understand the primary process. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they voted, but they didn't pick a party. So we're trying to figure out how many votes wasn't counted,
Yeah.
because if you didn't pick a party, it wasn't counted. You,
Mm.
so there's a lot of things that we have to do. You have a lot of people that's got don't have renter insurance, but they're renting, and then they in a fire and they lose everything. But the owner has insurance, so he's taken care of, but you lose everything. So we
Yeah.
want to, we want to educate them on renter insurance. Make
Yeah.
sure they got renter insurance, because it doesn't cost that much to have that to protect your stuff.
Yep. Exactly.
And then we got people who don't have insurance, and we're trying to help bury their loved ones.
Yeah.
So we want all of that need to be educated.
Yep.
All people got to be educated about life itself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
And I think that that's something that we don't really realize how deep that rot has gone in America, that we've got this open bleeding wound in the heart of America, right? There's because we ripped God out of it all, and we said, okay, we can do it on our own. And so we've got an open bleeding wound, and it's rotting. And so we don't have the ability to heal that until we understand where that rot is coming from. And a lot of that comes down to, we just slap band-aids on things, right? And say, oh, it's fine, we'll fix that. But it's not fixing anything, because that wound is still bleeding and it's still rotting on the inside. And so we have to bring, like you said, the principles of God back into this, in how we interact with our communities and how we interact with others. And that's part of the debridement process, and it's going to be painful for a while, because we have a lot of rot to get out.
oh yes,
But then we can fill that healing wound with God again, and we can fill it. We don't have to shove the Bible in their faces, but we can fill it by just showing them what the love of God looks like, in how we choose to respond to situations, and how we choose to respond to others, and how we choose to respond to our detractors and haters, right?
right. Yes, Stacy. If they did not mark Democrat or Republican or any other party, and they put their ballot in, it didn't read because they didn't know what side to read.
Hmm.
So, and we found that out at the poll. The lady said they must mark a party. If they don't, it'll take your ballot, but it doesn't know what side to go to. It don't know if to go on the Democrat side or the Republican side.
Interesting.
So you had to mark preferred party in the primary. And you're absolutely right. And people need to see the love of God again,
Mhm.
compassion. That's why I like when I go in restaurants sometimes, I take people tickets and then walk up to them and say, your meal paid for, have a blessed day. And they be like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Because they're not used to that anymore.
Oh yeah, no, we don't know what loving our neighbor looks like anymore. Now we label it things like tolerance and inclusivity and diversity and all of these things. That's not what love of God is. I
Right.
mean, the love of God isn't always easy. It's not like, who wants to be tolerated, really? You think
No.
about it. Who wants to be tolerated? No, we want to be loved at the deepest heart of us. We want to experience the love of God. We just don't often realize what that's supposed to look like. And sometimes, again, like I said, it's painful because it's debriding wounds we didn't even realize we had. And that's not an easy process, but it fills us with healing and good things. And so yeah, it's just, we don't understand the depth and breadth of God's love because we've cheapened it for so long, just like we've cheapened grace. And so we
Right.
need to start showing that in our communities, in our homes, in our churches, and all of those things. We need to start showing that it's not passive, and we've treated it as passive for so long.
Yeah. And so we have to, I think, that's the main way to start healing things, right? And
Yep.
and I tell people all the time, don't nobody care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yep.
And that is the key to everything that we need to do.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready. And what night you don't have a board meeting?
Okay, so where's my hold on one second. I got it all written down on my calendar today. So every weekend, Jake and I do a family executive committee meeting. And then we meet with each of our kids individually, and we kind of get the week settled and kind of figure out where we're going with their learning plans and all that stuff. So it's kind of fun. We get to pre-plan. Anyway, let's see. I've got so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I don't have anything in the evening.
Okay,
As
let's
far
do
as I can
Thursday.
see.
Let's do Thursday at 7 after you get dinner done.
At 7? Okay. Let me write that on my calendar.
So Thursday at 7, she would teach the first class on the Constitution. So that's going to be fun. Um, so yeah, and then probably toward the end, we might have somebody come in and talk a couple of minutes on another topic, but we want the Constitution to come first.
Sounds good.
And then I have to check with Pastor Steve German. I'm going to have him be the first pastor to teach online and give us a word for the week.
Awesome.
Then I get with Jennifer tomorrow, and she'll get ready to set up the newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah. And so yeah, so I think this is going to be great. This is going to be fun. I didn't want this to be a 2-hour one. I just want us to talk and get people ready for it and
Sounds good.
and knowing what everything is about.
Cool.
And until my stuff get back to normal, I don't believe I can do a 2-hour anyway. Because sometimes my head start hurting and stuff when I'm talking,
Yeah.
But what I do know is this. Look at Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy.
Yes, that is going to be Thursday night, 7:00. So we thank you guys and coming out, and I'm looking forward to you guys doing what needs to be done,
Yep.
to be a part of us, and we're gonna let me see how I'm gonna do this. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have fun. So I'm gonna let's see, looking forward to it. Okay. So you want to give your final thoughts on tonight and what's coming up?
Okay. Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna put something together this week on probably starting with the Bill of Rights. And then we'll maybe dive a little bit further into once those are discussed and hashed out. We'll probably dive a little bit further into the articles of the Constitution, as well as Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalists, so the people who are back and forth and really trying to understand and make others and inform others in the states what was coming and why the Constitution was the best option. So so we'll just kind of take it and see what happens. I'm kind of excited and a little nervous. So I feel like I have a lot to live up to, but we'll see how it goes. Just pray for God's grace and wisdom. So I'm really excited about this too. I'm looking forward to interacting with all of you, and hopefully we can share this out and start the process of restoring our state and hopefully eventually restoring our nation. So.
Oh, and Stacy said, inbox her if you want her to mail you a Constitution. All right.
Yep.
Also, if anybody needs, inbox me if you need home or rental insurance. We want to make sure y'all cover, or if you know someone that need life insurance, you know, and if they need life insurance, and inbox me if they need the assurance that if they go, they're going to heaven. We fix all that at one time.
Whole man.
Do we need, you can have the Constitution next to you so you can follow along with her.
Yeah, so I'm actually part of a program that is trying to get a college level course on all of the different state constitutions. So I'm working on the Wisconsin Constitution. If anybody is interested in helping me, because right now I am the only one. It's a volunteer position, but there's going to be a lot of fun just going through the Constitution, learning what our state constitutions are, because really, honestly, that's where our federal government comes from, is our states. And so again, there's another lack of understanding. We think the federal government is in power. Nope, the federal government answers to the states. So I'm going to be working on Wisconsin constitutions. You can find those right on the Wisconsin government website. I'm trying to remember what that is. I can maybe next week I can come back with the link to that, and if anybody's interested in that. So
all righty, so we're going to close this out the way we came in. y'all won't be able to see her dance, but trust me, she will be dancing.
I will be.
So join us next week as we get ready to take this to another level. Kingdom citizens of Wisconsin, we love you guys. And if you want to be part of the newsletter, inbox me your email and we'll get it over to the one that is going to put the newsletter together. So we will be able to email you the newsletter. So we're excited about that, and we're about to rock and roll.
We got the keys to the kingdom. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. We got the keys to the kingdom. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. There's the kingdom. Hey, I know it is. There's peace in the kingdom. Hey, yes it is. We got the key to the kingdom. Yes we do, I know we do. We're gonna unlock the things from the Lord. We got the key to the kingdom. Yes we do, I know we do. We're gonna unlock the things from the Lord. No matter what you're going through, Jesus got the keys for you.